3, 2, 1. Ka-chow. That's the famous line that Po from Kung Fu Panda says when he does the whooshy finger hold. I'm Adam from Your Movie Sucks. This is Sardonicast.
I'm Ralph.
And I'm Alex from IHG. I was just so used to going third, I'm just waiting for you to go in second.
Yeah. We always get it confused.
I stun locked you.
Yeah, it's all right.
You whooshy held us both.
Yeah. Yeah. My favorite line, ka-chow. It's so appropriate in the moment.
It isn't skadoosh.
No, it's ka-chow, Ralph.
He's got a few good ones to choose from.
Ka-chow, skadoosh.
Bazinga.
Yeah, when we can do the Cars trilogy. Yeah, wrong trilogy, man. We're saving the Cars one.
All right, let's we'll come back in 6 hours. Let's record another episode. Go watch Cars. Yeah, this is a trilogy episode with 3 movies. So let's just jump into it.
Well, it was my recommendation. This is what the if you count the Shrek movies, the third lot of DreamWorks trilogies we've talked about. And
yeah, that's crazy.
yeah, I've teased that I wanted to talk about these for a while because I feel like, memes aside, like DreamWorks definitely has this reputation for their kind of meme-worthy movies, like Monsters vs. Aliens and the Shrek movies and the Madagascar movies. They got a bit of a rep for it, but hiding in their catalog, there are kind of some underrated, good-ass movies, like really respectable animated movies in there, and my favorite one of the trilogies they have available is Kung Fu Panda. So starting with the first one, this came out in 2008. It's kind of a basic hero's journey story with a bunch of big famous actors, obviously Jack Black being the leading, and it's kind of a nice story that boils down into a bunch of like American animators creating this character who's like a fanboy, and it's like this nice ode to
nerd,
kung fu films. Yeah, he's like a big dork. He's a big nerd, and he loves like kung fu, and he's kind of seems like self-referential.
He's late for the convention.
yeah, DreamWorks has some good stuff. They're not entirely like people shit on them, but they have some good stuff. They have like the How to Train Your Dragon movies, and this is like, these are much better than I remember them. Or at least I think I've seen the first 2 anyway, before this, where they held up well, at least, I feel.
Yeah, that's part of it to me, is the kind of name and the posters and it kind of looks way worse than it is.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, obviously started there. I like the name, just everything about it. All 3 of the posters are really bad and like extremely simple and look dumb, and they have that kind of cartoony, well, not the kind of cartoony wordplay you're looking for, the kind of groan-worthy wordplay where it's like pandemonium on the first one's poster or twice the awesomeness on the second one's poster, like really leaning into the kind of worst parts of the movie. But obviously the advertising doesn't necessarily speak for what the movies are themselves, which I find to be just really solid hero's journey, really good action, like really fun characters, and surprising amount going on for like a kids movie, for like ideas to get them thinking. There's particular standout characters and really good villains we'll get into, but if we're talking about just the first one, I think it's probably one of the strongest, like compared to where it goes. I'm torn in my head between 1 and 2, and certain movies have like strengths over the other.
I definitely like 2 more, I think. But they're both.
Yeah, there are certain elements I prefer in the first one, but we'll get into that.
Just to focus on the first one. Like a big criticism of all the DreamWorks stuff are like usually the humor, like the pop culture references. They usually go overboard in some movies. There's not really so much like bad comedy in these Kung Fu Panda movies at all, and even the first one, there's nothing I thought was like kind of groan worthy.
Yeah, it doesn't like pull you out of the universe. They stay away from like
musical numbers and that kind of thing. I mean, there is one like at some point, but it for the most part, I thought the humor was like actually pretty well integrated into the movie, and like it was more about the story and like Poe's journey. Like he had like a good arc, a really good hero's journey. Yeah, it was like you actually like the character of Poe, right? And it balances all these other characters really well in the movie. 'Cause there's a lot.
I don't know, like. I think one of my criticisms would be that, like, some of the, what are they called? The Furious Five or something? Like, some of them either didn't need to be in the movie or should have been more developed, sort of thing. Like Seth Rogen does, like the entirety of his character is just he has a Seth Rogen voice and he's small. Like there are other parts in the movie where you can hear like the kind of cricket sound effects or whatever. It's like chirp or whatever. I would have rather had that character just only do that and never say anything Seth Rogen, like, because his character doesn't add anything, right?
Yeah.
Like if they just kept it as like non-talking. Yeah, the Jackie Chan one is like kind of a funny cameo, I guess. That's about it. But
yeah, he's barely in them. He's probably in the third one.
To the kung fu movies, the
exactly.
Those characters definitely.
I really like the crane.
More.
I like the crane the most.
Cross.
I think out of all of them, and the tiger. Yeah, David Cross.
He tries to be nice,
and Angelina Jolie is the tiger. Yeah, like those are the best. Yeah. And yeah, like the rest of them, they're more like comedic relief. His dad is like a really good comedic relief. Poe's dad.
Yeah, I like the dad.
Goose.
The goose,
who runs the noodle shop. Yeah, he's really funny actually.
One of the things that stands out to me is around this time, I feel like DreamWorks was suffering with some really repulsive character designs. We're talking Shark Tale, even like the humans in the Shrek movies, a little bit off, a little bit creepy. They're good at creepy looking stuff. But they kind of nailed the art direction here, because of course it's set in China. It's like a whole ode and love letter to China, this kind of fictionalized version of it where everyone's an animal. But yeah, they really make it work with like the different character designs. Especially for me, standing out is the Oogway, Master Oogway, the kind of turtle, and all the detail they put into like his shakiness and the way he moves and his dialogue in particular. Every time he is in a scene, he carries it and is way more thoughtful, and he provides that kind of, he's the wise, knowledgeable character that he kind of gets everything in motion, and he has to go early on, and it has the emotional beat and just the music of it too, and the way it's used with each character. And I'm a big fan of the music in this trilogy. It's the thing that originally got me into it, was how good and memorable that music is, and how it punctuates, especially that action and even the comedy. And yeah, every element of it works really well in terms of that kind of presentation.
Yeah, if there's one thing that I like about this movie, it's that it definitely tries to have a style. Whether or not it's the intro cinematic sort of thing with the almost like Samurai Jack style animation 2D going on.
Different styles of animation.
Like you said, the music. I don't think the music's perfect throughout or anything. I think that it could have been more impactful in like the Tai Lung escape scene, but I still like that it had a personality. I still like that the music was there and it did something that was not exactly traditional to big budget animation kids movies. And another element that really makes it stand out, and I think this movie would be so much worse without it, is the fact that they actually did competent fight choreography and really fitting cinematography to go along with it. Like if we're going to talk about the Tai Lung escape scene,
it's awesome.
Not only is what is happening physically with the character really cool, but the way that it's shown is super effective. Like the camera following the character along the wall and moving with him and giving the audience like a real sense for how fast things are moving, the scale of the place that it's in. It's really, really well shot in terms of framing and cinematography, which you never see really in a kid's movie, and it makes all the difference, especially for a movie that's about kung fu action, right?
Yeah, there's some really good audio design as well in that
like you said.
segment.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? So there's like a bunch of slow-mo used in that action scene as well, which I found to be something kind of more annoying in the sequels, but it works really well in that scene specifically when it's like it slows down and there's that huge arrow that kind of it hits into his shackles, and there's like this ringing noise that sounded really great through the audio design. That whole part is an audiovisual treat with that red and blue lighting and just how extreme it goes. It's a really great action.
It's a great kung fu movie on its own. Yeah, the action's fucking cool.
It has to be.
Yeah, because they lean into the fact it's cool animated. Like they can get goofy with it because it's really slapstick. The rules it has rules and it definitely still has tension and stakes, but they play with it. They let it go kind of goofy because there is that underlying goofy tone. It's a big fat panda, and that's the ongoing joke because it's falling over and it's all slapstick and silly. But that's part of the charm of it.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a very homage-y and tropey movie, but it still feels
Mhm.
kind of unique because, it was. This was also like really early, not like incredibly early, but still, I guess like at the somewhere in the peak of like this. We're doing kind of adulty DreamWorks animation things where, it's a kids movie, but there's jokes for adults too, and you're not miserable if you bring your child there. They were trying out a bunch of different things.
Yeah, How to Train Your Dragon, a bit more sort of tweeny.
Yeah, like this is definitely one of these standout additions to the genre.
If you'd call it a genre.
It is kind of a genre that's DreamWorks kind of we're making jokes movie.
Yeah,
you know, it's like it's
a
the
little
necessary
more mature,
answer to
It's like for older kids,
like
maybe.
Disney fairy tale movies where it's like, okay, no, we're making kind of like a comedy,
right? A little more contemporary. Yeah,
yeah.
It's like it's just an homage to those old kung fu movies, mostly.
Yeah, I'm not too huge on Oogway's spoilers. Oogway's turn into flowers scene. I think, like, I like the music. From the moment I first watched the movie, like, even when I don't remember how old I was. What was I, 15 or something? I don't know. Like, it always felt just so out of nowhere where he's just like, I'm dying now, goodbye. I was like, fuck, I almost wish that we got, like, a real death scene, but then it's like, oh, it's a kid's movie, you can't do that. Not like I needed to see graphic violence or anything, but it was just he turned into flowers, and it's like he consciously decided, like, okay, this is my cue here. I'm gonna go. It was just that perfect, manipulative point in the story where he was like, I'm leaving, and
that was just like the mechanics of the script. Like you had to go because
at that just moment
beat the villain otherwise.
Yeah, that was always kind of like goofy to me, but I love the character, like you said, and exactly, you're exactly right about the animation, like the shakiness of the character. It adds a lot of personality. The way that characters move is very important for animation.
Yeah, lots of good pairings, like all the expressive, the bird movement contrasted to what's the other master's name? He's like a little fox thing who's like really scrappy in comparison, and just visually watching them play off like the big chunky Po character. Yeah, Shifu, like training against him.
Mr. Shifu. Yeah.
Shifu's a good character.
They get out of it. It's there's like lots of like kind of Star Warsy stuff going on, like with Oogway just turning into like disappearing, and the whole like focus on the mastering and the training, and obviously that's inherent in all the kung fu movies as well. But yeah, I find that stuff really endearing, and it's explored in a a satisfying way, and the universe gets better as the trilogy goes on. To me, like it feels like they were sincere about it, they cared about it. This isn't no B movie Monsters vs. Aliens. Like this is just a throwaway. All that matters is the jokes. They seemed like they felt like they had something here, and they kind of leaned into it, and I think it works better emotionally as a result of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the story is actually interesting. It has the element of like the training. He's actually training, and those are some of the most entertaining parts of the movie. Like every training sequence basically with Shifu, like even just like the dumpling one where they were like fighting over the dumpling. Like it was like its own little kung fu action scene, but there's no fighting. But
it was like a fucking Stephen Chow thing,
Yeah, just as complicated in terms of the animation. Like really fast and fun, and that's everything in the movie. It's very energetic. It has a great energy and a pace. Yeah, they're all super short. Like this movie's only 90 minutes. That's great. It works in its favor.
I think they're all the perfect like length. They're all just like 90 minutes, pretty
they're all
much.
Super short and fun.
You wouldn't want any more from this. They kind of stretch it just about as far as they can. It's like, especially if you're talking about like as far as the trilogy is concerned. I feel like even though they leave the second one kind of on a cliffhanger, they're struggling for ideas by the time they get to the third a bit more. But.
Sure.
The story in this one, I think, is the tightest for me. Everything about it seems like it serves a purpose. I like that, the fact that he's a panda, he's fat, the food thing, and his heritage at the noodle place, like and how he eats everything. It turns into his combat style. And if if you know kung fu and martial arts, kind of Asian martial arts stuff, it's like they really like the idea of having like a fighting style, a fighting technique that is suited towards like an individual. Like that's a good kind of like almost kind of tropey thing to put in a film, and it works well for the character and it works well for what the movie is. I love the motivation of the villain and thus the motivation of Master Shifu. I think probably the most emotional core part of the movie for me is the flashback sequence where we learn that he had trained him thinking that he would be the Dragon Master, and then Oogway was like, "Nah, fuck that shit." And I don't like him. You could see his evil motivations or something, and then just I like the idea of like the betrayal of Master Shifu from Tai Lung, and him having to fight his own son and the conflicts, because he loved him and raised him, but just that sort of internal struggle I connected with.
Yeah,
sure. There's a lot of good themes in it, and like. Yeah, morals, right? The whole idea of like at the end, there's no secret ingredient. Like, there's nothing about him that makes him special. He worked hard, and he eventually became the Dragon Warrior, right? And
it's just water
to keep kids.
It was inside you the whole time.
Well, you can do anything. Like even to you can do anything as long as you work hard and he did.
Michael Jordan's secret.
Yeah, I like where that goes.
Fuck.
You can't bring out Space Jam, man. It's just too distracting.
I'm sorry. I'm sad.
Is that what that's from? I don't even know.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Michael Jordan.
Space Jam was a while ago. Yeah.
Well, I mean, this Kung Fu Panda, it's short and sweet. One thing that we didn't really mention, well, I guess we kind of mentioned, but the composers was a combo of Hans Zimmer and John Powell, which I think was really cool.
Yeah.
I think they worked well together.
Yeah.
Better combo than Hans Zimmer, Pharrell Williams, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, that's a given.
That might be the worst combo.
Done some really good DreamWorks stuff.
And like the whole Lion King 2019 soundtrack was another of that.
That was
duo.
Hans Zimmer too?
Hans Zimmer, Pharrell Williams
He
combo.
reprised it. He came to fix it. He came back to fix it.
Again, fucking legendary composer.
Yeah.
But literally, great scores. But
we had Michael Clark Duncan in the movie.
Yeah, that's right. He's like the
Rip.
Rhino.
Yeah,
he was good. Yeah,
I love him.
Lucy Liu.
Oh yeah, Lucy Liu. That's another character I just completely forgot. So yeah, Serpent, Mantis, and to some extent Monkey can all just fuck
Ballistic
off.
X versus Sever.
Crane and Tigress are like the only two real characters out of the Furious Five. The rest of them can fuck off.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. I like.
It seemed like they had the designs first,
Really?
like, based off the fighting styles.
What's your least favorite character, Ralph?
I don't know. I didn't think about that.
None of them grind your gears.
The bad guy.
Ah,
The bad guy, because he's evil.
yeah. Okay.
He wants to kill everyone. So
I
it's
love
obviously his favorite. Yeah. The bad guy's well written. Yeah, it's like a decent bad guy.
Yeah, as far as casting, it was just Seth Rogen that pulled me out. I was waiting.
Yeah.
I was saying to myself, hey, at least he hasn't done the laugh. Like, at least he's not here just to do that. And then he 2 minutes later just did the laugh. So
is he in any other
proved me
DreamWorks
completely.
movies? I feel like
He's in the Monsters vs. Aliens. He's like a blue
Oh, that's
blob.
right. He's the Blob. Yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
wow.
How could I forget?
Yep. Seth Rogen is definitely
He's in the club.
the least, like the least interesting and the least funny addition to the whole movie. It's like even Lucy Liu being there is kind of like a more interesting
We're
cameo.
shitting all over Seth Rogen.
Well, Seth Rogen doesn't need to be in
more
it.
sense.
Fuck Seth Rogen.
Yeah, bring in another fucking action star or something. I don't know. Jason Statham would have been better as fucking Mantis.
That would have been cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Bit of a rugged voice there, not necessarily just smoke weed.
Jackie Chan needed to be in it a little bit more.
Yeah, he didn't really have many lines,
Mm-hmm.
but
I think he had 3 lines. In,
yeah.
the second
At the
one.
same time, I don't know how much Jackie Chan is recognized as a voice actor, but
True.
Sure, but
They kind
he
of
was good
prioritized
from
Joe Lee, I
his
think.
little bit in the movie.
yeah, give him some mocap. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I
Okay.
feel like I don't have a ton to say about it. It's a good solid animated
It's
movie.
solid.
Yeah, it's solid. Like a brick house.
Yeah, super solid.
It is. It's
Yeah, it gets better as it goes
really
along,
tight.
too.
Not
That's a
liquid.
good word for it. Tight. But it's like a super tight film.
Mhm.
Really, I really enjoyed it.
Inoffensive.
Yeah, I'll probably watch it again at some point.
Okay. let's move on to Kung Fu Panda 2 then.
But we didn't give our ratings.
Oh, God, you're right, yeah. Well, what do we give
Alex,
Kung Fu Panda 1 then?
Yeah, I want to hear what you rated.
I really like the first movie a lot. I would give it 4 stars. I think for what it is, it's everything it needs to be. The action goes above and beyond. It holds up really well for 2008. Like 3D animation is obviously the most aged out of the 3. It's the odd shot here and there that you just think, yeah, that could definitely be improved, like big time with the technology. But overall, the writing holds up. The humor's pretty good all the way through. It's just really solid. But I just prefer what has come next. So 4 star.
I feel like I'm right there with you, Alex, in terms of the rating.
Cool.
Is it as good as How to Train Your Dragon? I don't know. I'd have to watch How to Train Your Dragon again.
I like this better than How to Train Your Dragon.
You do? Oh, okay. I feel like I remember that one more.
I don't like How to Train Your Dragon very much. I think it's fucking stupid.
Ooh, all right. You're gonna get
really?
shit for that.
I think it's awful, yeah.
How to Train Your Dragon. The first, really, you think it's awful?
It's just a fucking dog. They're just doing, it's a dragon, but it's a dog. And the entire film relies on you
that makes it a terrible
The
movie.
entire film relies on you going, aw, and that's it. That's the
Sure.
entire movie. It's fucking stupid. If you don't find the dragon cute, then there's nothing for you in the film. The film doesn't work unless you're going, oh, it's a prerequisite.
You do have to love that thing.
Exactly. That's the prerequisite for the film working, which is like just such a, like, I'm sorry. Anyway, 7 out of 10 for Kung Fu Panda. Good movie.
Okay. So moving into Kung Fu Panda 2, just 2011, directed by Jennifer Yu Nelson. Yeah, it's a follow-up to the first movie, where it's about inner peace. He's trying to find where in his life it's gone wrong, what he needs to come to terms with in order to progress as a protagonist. The yin and yang kind of framing is through this new villain character, Peacock, who he's the intro of this one. He gets it's kind of like a paper crafts intro that's all like an animated sequence to get the family dynamics going and establish the conflict of this. Yeah, the Peacock parents invented fireworks, but his son saw like an ulterior use for them. So there's this whole inventing weaponry in early China kind of thing going on with the villain, which is cool to go up against Kung Fu. Yeah, so what do we think of the sequel? Because I think this movie is kind of just a better version of the first movie. I like that the whole hero's journey stuff's dealt with, and there's something else going on. It's more personal. I like the whole the villain of the first movie, but it doesn't connect as much with Poe directly.
Sure. I really like this movie too. I like the story. I like that it's darker. I'm surprised no one's mentioned yet that Charlie Kaufman was like involved with like
yeah.
I think he at least helped on like polish up the script.
Yeah, he definitely did something.
It used to be called like Kung Fu Panda: The Kaboom of Doom.
Yeah, this is a prequel to Synecdoche, New York, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a few big names that are kind of attached to these movies, like Guillermo del Toro's in the credits too, listed as a producer, and it's hard to know what really that means at the end of the day, like how much like Kaufman, like what he wrote is left in here, but it's surprisingly thoughtful for one of these kinds of movies, with the whole inner peace angle and just perfect inverted characters that. And just through their conflict, like what they learn from each other, and especially the villain. I feel like out of this trilogy, they each try to establish a really strong villain, and this is the villain for the Poe character, the perfect character for him to face, because he is just totally inverse to him.
Yeah, sure. I really
his
like
motivation is coming from his fear of the future, and Jack Black's character learns to overcome through his kind of overcoming of the past, and they're totally each other's odds. Like, it sounds like you're disagreeing.
I'm just not. You're both saying everything I've ever heard about this movie, and everybody I know personally is just like, yeah, the villain, it's so much better, and I don't understand. I'm like struggling to come to terms with just how much I don't connect with this movie. I really just nothing. The only thing that was better about this one for me is like the animation quality. The animation's
You don't like
noticeably improved.
the design of the villain?
I mean,
you're just saying
the
the
fact
animation.
that it's
You don't
like a
just like the
peacock
design?
is like
the
kind of
feathers.
interesting.
Yeah.
But
And,
I mean,
and like knives come out of his feathers, and like how that's used in the animation, the fight sequences. I'm like, yeah, that's really cool. He has like one of the strongest action scenes in the movie. Lord Chen, played by Gary Oldman. Yeah, I thought
he
his
has
voice
some great
acting was
action.
pretty good too. Yeah, there's some cool action.
It's
with
such
him.
a complex.
I mean, it really
character
leans
model.
into like the kung fu aspect of it. Like it really becomes like almost a really dark action movie. I mean, as far as you can go with like this kind of movie, the DreamWorks movie still. But yeah, it's like super. It was really cool. Like I liked all that stuff with the villain.
I mean, it's flashy, like in the sense of like, the feathers are doing things, and it's fun on the screen, and kind of like a, I don't know, ADHD thing almost, in my opinion. But I never feel intimidated by the villain. I never feel like the villain is posing any kind of a threat, especially when the villain's main thing is like a big cannon that you can literally just walk out of the way of at any point in time. Like that's the villain's thing, is just having a big cannon, and nobody decides to get out of the way except for parts in the story where they go, oh, and then they realize they can at like the dramatic moment where it's required. But every other point they forget that they can just take a step to the side. Like it's ridiculous. I can't get behind the villain at all. I can't, like, I don't really understand.
Really?
Yeah, I don't. I was telling you how much I connected with the motivations of both the villain and the Master Shifu conflict in the first movie. I don't get anything like that in this movie. Like, there's the intro, and it's basically like, oh, my family did fireworks, and I was like, yo, did you know you could use fireworks to kill people? And they were like, that's bad. And so they're like, oh, I want to take over the world now because they're angry at me for being evil. And I don't get anything.
No, he
out
wants
of
to
that.
take over
It's
the
so
world because of
weird.
the Sacia character, right?
Sorry?
So the Sacia predicts his future, saying his downfall will be through a warrior of black and white or something.
Yeah.
And it's the ultimate fable of basically him just causing his own downfall if he didn't follow through on the Sacia.
Well, I mean, like, that was the first movie, because like I mean, like, would Tai Lung have done all those things if fucking Master Oogway didn't reject him? Or, like, everybody's a part of their own destiny. Like, that was already kind of like a theme in the first movie. Like, the entire escape scene of Tai Lung wouldn't have happened if Oogway didn't warn Shifu about Tai Lung escaping. Like, that was entirely set in motion by Oogway. And so they were already kind of incorporating that idea of like, oh, like, is this a self-fulfilling prophecy? Like, I didn't get anything new out of the second movie with them doing that. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't say it is definitely treading familiar ground with that stuff, but I just prefer the way it's explored here. I prefer that character design. I prefer, the way it comes out in the action too. Like Ralph, you said, which were you pointing to? And you said he's part of one of the best action scenes in the movie. Is it his like assault on the tower? He's got like a
it's like early in the film. It's like the
he's
first
got like a quick fight with that rhino and like another character that's there. It's like really quick, and you described it as what's kind of ADHD, but that's what I like about it is just how quick it's able to move, but without any cuts and keeping it wide. You get to see all that action. It doesn't get lost in it to me, which I think is such an achievement with how complex that character design is, and just the restraint of the way they use him.
I never once felt intimidated by the villain, and that's a problem for me. It's like, if I'm supposed to feel as though they're a villain and that they're capable of, doing damage to the main characters or the universe, I just didn't understand why. It was like, oh, the story is telling me that they're dangerous, but I didn't feel that they're dangerous. Like, they're scrawny, their weapons stupid. Like, I can't. You can stop the cannon by getting out of the way. Sorry.
It's more the fear of the technology, though, right? That's what makes him like scary as a villain. Is that
if it was like a new
technology
or like an AK, the valley with it. Yeah.
But what about like the whole action scene where they have like cannons lined up and it destroys the whole tower?
It was just so silly. I couldn't get behind it. I was just it was just one of those things where, like, especially like Poe, I'm just like, get out of the way. And then eventually he learns how to get out of the way, but there's nothing that really initiates that. He just like, oh, we're at the point in the story where I can realize I can get out of the way now.
Well, he has his flashback. The flashback like version in this movie is that whole 2D animated sequence with the Panda town being attacked by the whole army, and that commitment to that like genocide angle is pretty surprising from this movie, and that's always been something that's drawn me more to this. Just how they're willing to commit to the kind of darker stuff that does make that villain more intimidating to me, because he's kind of deranged. Like he commits genocide in the opening, and then he's like he's like projecting onto Poe, like in scenes saying like your parents never loved you and stuff like this. It's like pretty heavy concepts to be throwing around in like a Kung Fu Panda movie.
Definitely heavy. Yeah, the 2D animation is good. Yeah, it's awesome. Like how it's used,
really
incorporated in the movie. Yeah, it's like that was like the emotional core of the movie. Like he was trying to go for something like Pixar. I don't know if it's quite as like pulls at my heartstrings that much. I don't think it's as emotional as a Pixar movie, but it almost got there with like that scene.
The 3D animation was definitely improved. I didn't the 2D animation sequences
that too.
I didn't feel worked as well as the first film. I don't know what it is about them. I'd have to like compare them side by side.
I like the 2D.
They felt
and
a bit
the
more
3D.
clunky.
I like how it's used. It's just used for the flashbacks and like telling the story at the beginning. Whatever,
they also
right?
just felt like a bit more obligatory.
I thought it was good.
One.
I like the use of color. I think like that's really good in these movies, and there's like scenes of like very heavy like contrasting colors like for the lighting. It's cool. It's like a cool effect, I think.
So can we talk about like the villain's motivation? Can you describe it in a way that like might make me feel like it's all right? Like I don't. It's just I get the whole just evil because they're evil vibe in this one, but in the first movie it was like there was like a gigantic justification for like how he was raised and stuff, right? I really connected with that, but I just, is there anything in this movie that describes why they're evil other than they're just like, oh, I wanted to use fireworks for a weapon and my parents didn't like that. That's it?
Well, he's just operating under this fear of losing his power, right? It's just him reacting to the Sacy and creating this situation for himself.
No, but like why he's like a power-hungry evil person in the first place.
Oh, right. No, I guess it doesn't go that deep in terms of like why he wants to commit genocide.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not trying to like. I'm glad you're both able to connect with it a lot. Just so much of this film felt like obligatory. It just felt like we're going through a lot of the same beats again, and we are doing these. We have this character because this is necessary. This character because this is necessary. But it wasn't really. It didn't feel as organic. It didn't feel as like purposeful. Everything just felt like, oh, we kind of have to do this sort of thing. I don't know. I wasn't connecting with like the jokes, or I can't think of like a really good joke in this movie.
I like the humor in this movie. I feel like it's like a little more subtle. Again, it's going for a darker tone. Like I feel the Charlie Kaufman influence in it. It used to be called like I think I said before. Like the title of it was like Kaboom of Doom or something stupid like that. Like Kung Fu Panda 2. Like that's much better. I think that poster, like just the title, much better. And it feels like a continuation. Like you learn about Poe and like he wants to find out where he really came from, and it's funny in the first one, like it really his dad's a goose, like it can't really be a goose, like where's his panda dad, and then like even there's a joke in this movie about it too, like that it's a good way to take his character and like that you discover it over 2 movies too, like I really like that,
I thought it was so funny in the first movie, and then they just over-explained it.
Over-explain, I don't know, but if you want to make a sequel, you need to do something interesting, right? You need to like explore the characters in some way.
Yeah, but this one is just like a little.
They could have taken it a different way, sure, but I like the way they took it. I think that's differently.
Yeah, that seems like a big theme of all these to lean into.
Yeah, all 3 of these movies have this theme of like mentorship or like almost fatherhood.
Yeah,
like, especially the third.
The
movie,
reason why the joke was so funny in the first movie is because they didn't address it. Because that was a part of the misdirection. Is you think that he's gonna say, "Oh, you're adopted," but he doesn't say that. He said another line, right? That's what made the joke work well in the first movie, is because it wasn't acknowledged. And then the first thing they do in the sequel is like, okay, we're gonna make the entire plot about this.
Retcon it.
It's like it's such a sequel thing to do, like leave no stone unturned, sort of thing.
Yeah, the way they took it, I thought
it doesn't seem like that much of a stretch to me, though. If, like, that's who knows where he came from. It's like if he's his father figure, he has to have like started at some point being his father figure. So that doesn't seem like a stretch to me for that information to come from him, and to lean into that whole joke, because it is a funny joke. It's one of the funnier like gags in the movie. Is that it just continues, and they're playing it so straight, so serious with this like goose father with like all the musical beats and everything, and his dad's like still really passionate about him. That's one of the funnier jokes to me. Just like the commitment to the absurdity. That's what I like about Kung Fu Panda, is whenever they do that, while at the same time having this like villain who's committing genocide and is like a threat to the whole world and is like a tyrant. Like, I think that's fun. They're able to make both work.
There was a part near the beginning where they made a joke, but it was like almost at the expense of of like the first movie's plot, where Master Shifu's like, Po, the day you're chosen as a dragon warrior was the worst day of my life so far. But like, we saw, what about when your son tried to kill you, or when you had to kill help kill your own son? It's like, what? It's like, I don't know. I know, it's like the gag shouldn't come at the expense of like the universe, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
It's like a late Simpsons joke, you know? It's like nobody cares anymore.
Late Simpsons joke. Yeah, like after season 15.
Yeah.
Some of these criticisms I agree with. Yeah, I don't think it's perfect. I don't think it's as good as like some of Pixar's best movies. Like, that's how I feel anyway. Yeah, I really connect with the story on this one.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And I just appreciate the main arc of Poe and how it contrasts with the villain. I just think it's really well done, and having like the villain killed by his own creation. I like that detail in the final fight with Poe. Like, he doesn't actually hit him once. Like, he just dodges out of the way. So Shem winds up killing himself, like reinforcing his whole like prophetic angle, and how he's just made it all happen to himself. And he pulls this expression when his weapon comes and like falls down on him and completes him, and finishes him off. It kills him. And he has it's like the one time he shows any kind of peace, or like he's come to accept his own fate, when he's always like fighting this future that he's just made exist for himself. I just think it's surprisingly thought-provoking for a movie like this.
Sure, yeah, it is. It's deep,
and that Gary Oldman performance too. I think without him, they would have struggled to characterize him as strong as they do, but that performance, they're just able to bring so much like passion into that animation.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
It just comes together really well.
Yeah, that's memorable.
Super, super expressive villain.
Yeah, good performance for the villain for sure. I don't think that there's like a single scene or sequence in this film that matches the cinematography of some of the scenes in the first film. You know, when I was talking about like how the camera follows the action, especially in the Tai Lung escape sequence, like just the way that things are shot, like I never got that in this movie.
Sure.
Like, that's such an important aspect. It just wasn't there.
See, I think generally I prefer the action in the second movie. That I do think that bridge in the first movie is like a standout action scene with the like Furious 5 versus Lang. That like as far as like peak action to me, outside of that prison escape, that's like those are the two from that movie. Whereas I do like the whole like boat siege at the end, with the coming right after the reveal of the kind of emotional gut punch of his backstory being revealed, of like what happened to his parents, and them actually like committing to like his family being destroyed, and where that takes him next, and the way it's like edited, and the kind of crescendo, the build up to the way that final action scene kind of comes together. I like that more than the way that first movie comes together, where once Poe kind of figures out and has to win, it makes the villain more of like a joke. It takes away all that fear you've built up with him, like in that final conflict, and when Poe's like throwing him into the air and slamming him into the ground and leaving like cartoonish holes where he was. Like, I just think where they take the villain in 2 is just way more way darker, way more serious, and that they treat it seriously the whole time. And his character,
it's thoughtful.
I think it's sillier to
Yeah,
just
with every
like
character,
eventually
though.
invent the idea of getting out of the way of it's just moving to the
All
side.
right.
I think that's so much sillier. 'Cause I've never intimidated by like the entire fucking film. I think it's just I don't understand why characters don't know how to just step to the side until the end of the movie.
I see it more as like it's them beating the technology in that moment. Like if he's able to redirect like the power, it's more of like a visual like representation of him overcoming his past, and so he's able to, it gets.
Sorry. I'm glad I re-experienced it just to remember that I don't like it. But 5 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm surprised you didn't like it more because, the Charlie Kaufman influence on the script.
No. I didn't really...
as I say, it's just hard to
the name's
pinpoint.
there. I don't really feel that watching it, though.
Yeah. He just polished it up. But, I feel it is thoughtful. I like Poe finding inner peace, and there's a lot of callbacks, I guess. It's good. I'd probably give it the same. Yeah, I don't know what you'd rate it, Alex. I'd probably give it the same as the first one, 8 out of 10 is what I'm thinking right now.
Yeah, I'd give
I like
this
it more
higher.
than
This is
Madagascar.
like a 9 for me.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah,
I just think once the intro is done, that first 5 minutes, once the setup's done, it's just non-stop. That pacing, it's like fire. It just really works for me, the way it builds, and the way just the yin and yang story builds up, and that action too. And it is kind of funny, looking at it under the lens of this was around that time they were really trying to push the 3D in the DreamWorks movies. So you can see it in certain shots where
I did notice
framed
that,
it around that. I kind of like it in certain shots. It seems like they're playing with the composition in a specific way to draw your eye to certain points to enhance that 3D. And I suppose that could be distracting, but I don't really mind how that comes together for me.
Yeah, they were throwing a lot of stuff at you for shots like that. I thought the movie looked great. Yeah, I think the animation's slightly better than the first one. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell because the way it's designed, I feel like the hair is more detailed. I was trying to pick up on things like that, on the tiger,
just the way, the way light bounces off hair and stuff like that. Just that kind of technology just improves. So much.
It's a little more elaborate, right? But the designs, everything are very simple. It's kind of like the DreamWorks style, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought, I really like the design of the villain and a lot of what they did with that villain. I think he's probably my favorite one of the three. I like the first villain too, though. Yeah, that action scene on the bridge is great in the first one. Yeah, that's probably the best action scene, the most memorable. But yeah, the peacock on this is cool.
Do either of you feel like they kind of had to gimp Poe for this movie because he was he learned how to fight and became an expert and was I just have to incorporate food by the end of the first movie. But then in order for them to have silly training scene with Tigress and Poe, they kind of have to make him forget how to fight again. Is that not kind of weird?
You think it's like a Matrix situation? We've got to take him down a notch in the sequels.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're kind of just undoing things that were already established. That's kind of how it felt to me, anyway. Oh, now he has to be weak again. So many of the fight scenes revolved around being silly, right? Whereas I loved so much about the fight scenes in the first movie. The creativity in the camera work, the sound design, the choreography. But in this film, it was just the jokes are in here. And that's what it felt like the priority was. But the jokes weren't even that funny. But anyway, 5 out of 10.
I will agree the action leans way more.
What you're saying about the second one's how I feel about the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the jokes and how they're incorporated work so much better than the second one.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I prefer the second too.
Yeah. It's total opposite for me.
You're all wrong. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm never going to watch it again, so.
time for the trilogy to wrap up with Kung Fu Panda 3, 2016, 5 years after the second one. Slightly different director combo this time. It was back to being 2 directors. I didn't mention the first one was 2, Mark Osborne and John Stevenson. But Jennifer Yu Nelson returned for 3 alongside Alessandro Carloni. To wrap up the trilogy, I mentioned at the end of Kung Fu Panda 2, there's a tease that the Panda Village is out there somewhere, which gives the jumping off point for 3, where Poe's dad shows up, Bryan Cranston shows up, and
you're voiced by Bryan
has some
Cranston.
secrets to reveal.
Fun.
Yeah.
You know, in the second one, like when they were showing him, like that's not Bryan Cranston, is it? Because you know his dad's in the second one for a little bit, like a very
you
small
get a little brief
amount.
like cameo.
Yeah, but in this one, he's like
remember
Bryan Cranston. Yeah, exactly. Because they didn't really give the dad like a character in that one because they didn't have time. Like there's a ton of other things going on. So now, like this one, they actually molded more of a character for him. Like the dad is, he's like back in town or he's never been in the town, but he's in town to just find his son. Yeah, they meet like the dumpling house. Yeah, and it's about like the 2 dads like arguing over how much time like they should spend with Poe, and I don't know. I thought that angle was probably the strongest part of the movie, like the fatherhood aspect of it. A lot like the Indiana Jones movie, the third one, whatever it was.
Yeah.
That's like it's a good like emotional core for this story too. I thought that really worked about it.
Yeah, I was concerned that going to this like Panda Village could like undo the intensity of what they set up in 2 in terms of like that whole village being attacked.
It's such a big part of 2 is like him finding his childhood or like rediscovering like what happened to his parents.
Yeah. They do commit, and his mum still stays. Stays gone, whereas the dad doesn't.
Yeah, the peacock guy, the villain. Yeah, again, like he killed his mom. Like it's pretty messed up.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm torn in this movie. I feel like, as you're saying, Adam, by the end of that second one, they are kind of already repeating things, and they're kind of struggling in terms of like what to make Poe
going through the motions,
repeating the hero's journey.
I feel it in this one more though, in the third one,
and it's kind of a DreamWorks trope also to do the like, the missing parents, like one of the parents or both of the parents weren't in the previous movies, but now they've been found or they've come back, like the How to Train Your Dragon franchise did the same thing.
Leave no stone unturned.
Yeah, so it seems like they're pulling out their box of tricks.
Oh yeah, that's right. I do remember the trailer of like the third one, right? Like they find her mom or his mom or something. Like one of them. Yeah, so they do it with here. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you already have the tropes,
it is really kind of an incredibly lazy way to take a story, isn't it? At this point, especially for like a kids sequel thing, like. How many times has that been done? That seems like one of the most obvious lazy things ever.
Yeah, I don't know.
What happened in Despicable Me?
Those. Like the third one, he finds his twin brother. It's okay, that's dumb. His twin brother,
exactly.
You know, here it feels again like I like that in the first one. It's his father is a goose, so they have to they didn't have to explain it, but they chose to go that way, and they had to commit, right? They had to tell a story with that, and it wouldn't have really fit in the second one.
That was one of the nicer things about part 2 as well, was the I liked the way the fatherhood aspect was explored, and he comes to embrace his goose dad by the end, learning to not be defined only by his past, and that if he lives in the present, he can accept what he does have, which is a family, which is his goose dad. Whereas it feels familiar to Bryan Cranston's here now we can do the dad conflict thing and make the dad jokes, because everyone in the audience is going to like that, or the parents that have been dragged into it. It's something they'll enjoy.
Yeah, exactly. And
it's I can just handle Poe when he's the only panda, and that kind of repetitive humor that's all based around him, hey, he's fat and lazy. That's only funny when it's contrasted against the total opposite. So taking him to a village of just hundreds of Poes. It's not really my
that
favorite.
are all the same joke. Yeah, the whole Panda Village thing is something that could really fall flat. I think that's a big risk. And I feel like they did redesign it a bit from what they showed in the second one, just from that brief image. It's like they're like in the mountains somewhere in the snow. But you know, like it actually kind of worked for the most part. I think like the Panda Village. They introduced a lot of characters there, and some of them are there for like little jokes, but some of them are there a bit too long, and it got kind of annoying. There's like the girl panda. There's like a love interest for Poe. I think they were trying to do at some point. Yeah, that was kind of just weird, and like she was in the movie too much. It was kind of unnecessary. I get what they were trying to do.
Yeah, I don't know what that was.
Yeah, about. At the end of the movie, she like uses her ribbons to like stop the villain. Right? They all have their thing that they used to help Poe at the end.
It's kind of unnecessary.
Yeah, she used her ribbons to like stop. Like some of them rolled over. Yeah, but like she was like mostly unnecessary, and like. It was just like a weird scene with like she's dancing with Poe and the ribbons. I don't know. I like that all the pandas helped him at the end. I feel like that's what the movie was about. Like, you know, the family and teamwork. Their family, like the Fast and Furious. It's like that.
Yeah, we're family. Like now we can make Poe
it's kind of like that
sort of thing.
Kind of story.
Like next place to take his character.
Except better done than Fast and Furious at this point.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't take too much.
I thought that the jokes in this film were like mildly funnier than the second one, honestly. I thought that the humor worked.
You know what? I got the sense. Yeah, I got the sense that this was definitely like it was going much more for a comedic tone than the second one was. It was like going more goofy, I think.
Master
Which
Chicken,
works I think.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah, I like the Master Chicken.
There were like a lot more jokes. It was more lighter. I think it was much lighter.
Yeah, that's part of also what I didn't like as much, whereas in that first and second movie, there are scenes where it's like, wow, this is surprisingly working on like a character level. They're getting like emotional weight out of
this one's just joke.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like the villain, his whole thing is that he's a joke.
I barely remember the villain. It was J.K. Simmons, right?
Yeah, J.K. Simmons.
Yeah, he's like a big ox.
Yeah, what the fuck? Yeah, easily the least memorable villain for sure.
Sure, that's how I feel. Like, the second I looked up, it was J.K. Simmons. I'm like, oh yeah, I can hear the voice. Yeah. Like, Gary Oldman put on far more of a performance, I feel like. I thought he was really good as a villain. I feel like the first two villains, even in the first movie, I feel like those are better villains.
This is the second DreamWorks trilogy where Bryan Cranston shows up in the third movie.
You're right.
That's funny.
Yeah.
It's so incestuous. They're all using the same voices and everything. It's the same. It's just Seth Rogen's and everything. God damn it.
What's the other one?
He shows up in Madagascar. He's the new tiger.
Oh, I don't even remember that. Yeah, we watched those movies. I don't know why I said the second one's the best one. The third one's probably the best, the Madagascar. Yeah.
Oh, but
even this movie. Yeah, I think I changed my opinion on those.
Oh, damn, okay.
Yeah. The second one's really stupid. I just kept thinking back to like the Moto scene. It's fucking stupid. Like that movie's terrible.
It's pretty bad.
These are much better than like that. I like this trilogy of films much more. They're far more engaging and like they actually try. These are really trying. They have a story. Yeah, like the second one. And yeah, this third one, it pretty much tied up everything perfectly, I felt. And like it was getting kind of old, like you were saying, like it's getting kind of stale. You're feeling like the wear of like this is the third movie, and they concluded it right here, basically. Aside from some series which I haven't seen, we can talk about maybe if you have, but it's not like I feel like they did everything they could with it, and they wrapped it up nice, and like now we can then they moved on to other things. It's like a perfect little trilogy of films, and they're all super short. I think that works in favor of it. That the pacing's really quick.
Yeah, the third one's actually the longest one by like a few minutes.
Yeah, sure. Could have used the musical number at the end, maybe. So it's just unnecessary. Singing kung fu fighting.
I actually enjoyed the first half of this movie. The second half, it got really, really fucking boring. But in the first half of this movie, there were actually points in it where I was like, oh, okay, like, at least in my mind, in my opinion, there were parts that kind of like improved on some of the criticisms that I had with the second film. So like in the second film, I mentioned like, yeah, it's kind of weird that he starts out as, in the first movie, they concluded him as like the warrior who knows how to fight. He just uses food or whatever. Then they kind of have to undo that for the second film without explaining it, just so they can have the funny trading scenes. But in this film, it's kind of part of the plot. Like it's a part of his character arc to have to undo his warrior mentality and come to terms with like, oh, okay, well, maybe there's something good about just being a panda. Maybe there's something positive to look at in being clumsy or fat or, you know, it was more consciously understanding that he had been trained into this warrior thing, and they used that as part of the plot of being like, okay, we need to unlearn that now. That kind of made more sense for me. I have in my notes that his arc was like fairly clear with like him. It was about him becoming like a teacher, which I kind of liked because that seemed like the next logical progression in terms of like, you know, student to master sort of thing. It felt like it was building off of where we started in the first film, you know, as a logical progression, a logical arc, I guess. Yeah. There were some good lighting and color choices, like especially in the Trading Pandas montage. It felt like cool and stylized without feeling like low budget or weird. Yeah, I liked some of the jokes.
I like the stuff in the like spirit world towards the end.
Yeah,
as far as spectacle action's concerned. It's
one
of the few times in the movie they're able to do something a bit kind of grander than the previous ones, because you want to feel like there's some kind of escalation to the trilogy, and it's kind of it's the best thing that the villain in the third one brings is that link to that kind of spirit world, that the visuals that brings.
They give an actual payoff that's connected to the first film too, because he becomes a real manifestation of the dragon warrior, right? Like that's cool that they.
Yeah, that's a good moment.
Yeah, some satisfaction to that. But yeah, most of the second half of this movie is just super forgettable and unspecial and boring.
Yeah, when they're just trapped in the village for ages. And like the B plot with the 5 like investigating stuff, it's just it grinds to a halt at a certain point, and it's like, okay,
yeah.
Even though this is like an hour and 30, it shouldn't be dragging like this. So.
I stopped taking notes for a good chunk of it. I was just kind of like passively like not invested until at the end I commented on how Poe kills himself with the whooshy finger hold and just grabs Kai, and that sends them to the spirit world. Like, what? That doesn't make any sense.
Beats him.
Just like no setup for that.
Yeah. Like, I'll kill if you touch someone when you kill yourself. Like, okay. You take them to the spirit world.
Yeah, that is never like established at all, is it?
I'd rather just have him like jump off a cliff with him. I don't know. Might not want to show kids.
Yeah,
that, though.
It was a weird choice to have that, because I guess he's on paper he's like the most intimidating villain in terms of like just raw strength, but they like write him to be a joke and that like no one knows who he is, so no one's scared of him. That's like an ongoing thing.
They're just trying to make it a little more interesting by adding comedy in there, because he's not that interesting of a villain. Yeah. I like the spirit world connection. Yeah, I like that the turtle's back in it.
Yeah,
he's not in the second one. Yeah, and even Master Chief, who's barely in the second one.
I think they were expecting the intimidation aspect to come from all of the spirits that he had controlled. I guess, just like, oh no, now the other people that are strong are fighting against me now, my friends.
Yeah,
I feel like that's another like animation cliche. It's like the fighting the evil version of your friends type thing.
Yeah, that too. Seth Rogen, right? He was in this too.
And then it's like, when you beat the bad guy, all the gems go back, so like everything's undone. It's like no permanence to anything.
It's like Avengers, all the aliens die, like even the White Walkers at this point,
Yeah, it's just that.
Like you kill one, and then they all, everything, all the damage they did is undone. It used to be a kids' movies cliche, but now things for adults like Game of Thrones do it, or like the Avengers, even though that's for like man babies.
Yeah, despite this one coming out so much later than the second film, like there isn't a noticeable difference in animation quality. The jump from 1 to 2 was a noticeable improvement animation-wise.
Yeah.
But this one, it's just you can't tell the difference, and that's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's only very slight. I guess it's the pro and con of like the ultra stylized tack they went for. It kind of. Yeah, it works both ways, because I reckon it makes Kung Fu Panda 2 age much more gracefully. And they've gone with this kind of style, as opposed to something like the Monsters versus Aliens or whatever, where it just looks creepy as hell, like B movie and shit. Like
yeah.
For that era of this kind of animation,
Megamind.
Yeah, actually,
they
Megamind
still
doesn't
have
look too bad.
duds. I mean, like Boss Baby's like their tentpole series now.
Yeah, it's a sad one.
Yeah, definitely, especially compared to this. This is like much more. I don't know. I liked these when I saw them when I was younger. They were like super entertaining. Yeah, and I remember a lot, especially about the first one. I remembered a lot, but watching the second one now, I'm like, yeah, this is really good. Like, it's going for something different, and it's dark, and the villains are pretty good. Even J.K. Simmons, like, it's cool to get J.K. Simmons. It's just his character's so.
Yeah, he's got a cool voice, but his
joke,
lines.
Yeah, he's got a good voice. Just the jokes are kind of lame. Yeah, that whole running joke, no one knows who he is. And, yeah, like you said, the gems, like it's like, okay, well, who gives a shit? Really.
Yeah, especially when
it's like they just threw in a villain because they needed a threat, not because it was like organic to, like Gary Oldman's like maybe he's less intimidating because he's not really supposed to be intimidating. He's like he just has a big weapon. He's like a spoiled asshole.
He has that personal connection to Poe as well, though. He's like the reason he has his past trauma, whereas this guy in the third, his only link is to Oogway, who died 2 movies ago. They've got some like pact or something that's 500-year pact. I don't know. It's just like, oh, just come up with something.
Yeah, and I was thinking, like, how many people watching Kung Fu Panda 3 are like they actually know the story, like at that point? Because it's pretty like long after the second one came out. I think it was like more than a couple years.
It's probably why they leaned more into the whole like kiddie, like the kiddie panda aspect, like this
baby panda.
It's not like Toy Story 3, or anything like that.
If you go from like 2008 when the first one was to 2016, that's like a good amount of years. Like, it's like basically into the next generation. So I can't really blame.
Toy Story really helps because like every one of those characters is great, and I really remember them. And there's a few great characters in Kung Fu Panda, but I don't think it held up as well. Like people didn't remember them as much. And yeah, the kiddie tone, they really lean into the kiddie, like goofy jokes again. It felt more like the first one. It felt like a producer came in like, make it more fun. That second movie was too dark. It's like genocide and murder. We don't want that, It's almost like the last Star Wars film, not Rise of Skywalker, the original trilogy. After Empire Strikes Back was Return of the Jedi. Yeah, it felt like after that, it felt like a kiddier, like friendlier movie, and it took a few less risks, I think. Although some of it was pretty strong. Again, like the best part's oh shit! I get a message. Sorry. The best part was the emotional stuff with like his dad. Yeah. What is this Kung Fu Panda poster?
I'm just like, look at the poster for the third movie.
The wait is over. Yeah. And, this is what I was saying earlier. And like, the posters, man.
Look at the bottom right character also.
It's a fat joke.
Oh yeah. He's smiling.
That was a weird addition of just like, oh, this is a person with this is the mentally handicapped panda.
Yeah,
that was a weird.
What I mean,
addition
taking the whole
characters.
panda village like so far. How far can we take this panda humor?
That's a weird
they
poster.
Are is dumb and fat. That's it.
That face he's making on the bottom right. That's like too much.
I'm glad they changed the title of the second one there. Yeah. It probably would have had the same tone as this one. It would have been like a goofier movie, but they're probably like, no, that's too goofy. Let's bring in like Charlie Kaufman, make it like a little more interesting.
Guillermo del Toro. Yeah.
Yeah, they needed like Guillermo del Toro to come in and work on this. That would have made it much better. Yeah.
Bring in
David
Noah
Lynch's
Baumbach.
Kung Fu Panda 3. Noah Baumbach's Kung Fu Panda 3.
Hell yeah. He could have made the third movie work. He could have done
the Titan director for Kung Fu Panda 4.
Oh, Julia Ducournau.
Would be like really weird.
That'd be great.
Yeah, it definitely needed more going on. It did have something going on with the music though, and I'd forgotten about this, but For some reason, Imagine Dragons is like credited for many themes from the score contain portions of the garage rock song "I'm So Sorry" by the American pop rock band Imagine Dragons. I think it's like the villain theme, the dang 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 dang. I think that's from like an Imagine Dragons song.
Oh fuck, probably.
Interesting.
Damn,
super weird.
That is super weird.
I wonder why.
I don't know
why.
What? They're such a corporately friendly band. It's so weird.
It is really weird.
Put them in your
really
movie.
Mentioned like it's set in China, and China loves these movies. They're like huge in China, huge overseas. And I read something about the first two didn't have direct like Chinese funding or involvement, but I think the third one does, which also might be a reason that it's a bit more like toned down. And
yeah, they filmed it in Uyghur concentration camps.
Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely felt kiddier. The part with him grabbing his own finger, that was pretty ridiculous. Grab his own finger, he like kills himself.
Yeah. It's like a different level of writing.
It's like, okay, that's how he figured it out. How do you know that would even work? What if that didn't work? He just disappeared.
Oh yeah. Have you tried this before?
Yeah. They needed to set it up or something. Yeah,
That's
he needed
weird.
to like read about it.
It's so weird.
But yeah, it's like, who gives a shit? It's like, it's for little kids. That's what they would think it probably.
Yeah.
Who fucking cares?
Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, whatever.
Yeah, who cares? It's Kung Fu Panda 3,
the emotion is
right?
more important. And I forgive it more in those first two. Like, I'm not looking for 100% logical consistency in Kung Fu Panda, but I think the third one doesn't really try as hard. And that's just my opinion on it. Like, in terms of everything. Yeah, the poster. They're all there. Yeah, all the pandas are there. Yeah.
Fun fact, Master Oogway is the keymaker from The Matrix Reloaded.
Oh, cool. Bringing it full circle to The Matrix.
Which we'll talk about next episode.
That awesome character.
Yeah. There's a video game for this movie, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a Connect game, I think.
I should play those.
I have it, but I haven't played it yet. I bought a bunch of shitty Connect games.
Yeah, same.
There's a few of them at some point.
There's a lot.
There's something about this franchise. Like, it's the reason I rediscovered it is because of all these like the Little Panda Fighter ripoff, Chopkick Panda, Panda Warrior with Rob Schneider. For some reason, there's like Kung Fu Panda is just like a big one, like to rip off.
Works well for a video game because like the fighting aspect, the kung fu.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, like really the kung fu part of it's super strong. That's like the hook, I think. So it makes it work. Like even the fact that they're animals, like it's their reason. It's a reason they're animals. They're it's an homage to that style. Like those styles of martial arts. People fought crane style and tiger style.
Yeah, mantis.
Like it just makes sense for the story. Like everything about it makes sense. Yeah, it's just a fun concept. And yeah, like there's some really good characters like in this whole trilogy. I like Bryan Cranston in the movie fine. I didn't think he was. I probably like the Goose character more. I guess because I've had more time with that character, like to develop him.
Yeah, I prefer the Goose.
Yeah, it's still not as strong as like a Pixar film, even this one. Like I like the Toy Story trilogy more, I'd say. Like
it's better than The Good Dinosaur.
The emotions hit home. Yeah, The Good Dinosaur is a piece of fucking garbage. That movie, what dumpster fire.
Apparently,
that's like one of Pixar's worst.
Apparently, there was a character in this film called Big Fun, played by Wayne Knight. I don't remember that.
Big Fun.
That's what it's saying on IMDb.
There was a panda with like weird teeth. He had like fucking really messed up.
Oh,
teeth.
did he play the mentally handicapped?
I was like,
panda?
what was that?
Is that
joke?
Big Fun?
Oh yeah.
Was that
Wayne Knight
supposed to be the handicap?
Yeah, that was Wayne Knight. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It was the one with the fucked up teeth.
Easiest face shake.
Oh my god. It just stood out to me. Like, what was that? Yeah, like that was so weird. Some of the pandas in there, definitely. The ribbon panda and that panda.
Yeah, Kate
ridiculous.
Hudson playing May May.
Right, Kate Hudson, that's right. I saw her name in the credits. I'm like, really? Kate Hudson played that character? She didn't even do much. Like,
Yeah.
She's better at Almost Famous, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Great movie.
When I was reading about like this movie, I found this like weird article that was like, Kate Hudson to replace Rebel Wilson in Kung Fu Panda 3. I was reading all this stuff about how they had all these completed scenes ready with like Rebel Wilson's
That's funny.
previous performance. But when they cast
Rebel
Kate
Wilson.
Hudson, they like reanimated a bunch of stuff for that performance, for all that like ribbon twirling stuff. So it's nice to know that, like, God, that must be such a... Imagine being one of those animators. You've already done the Rebel Wilson, like, scene, and then, oh no, she's
Gotta
been
redo it.
recast. Like, we got to do it all again, guys. Slightly different, because Kate Hudson's doing it now.
Yeah, it's just the voice. They still have
Just
to reanimate
ridiculous.
it. I guess it's like a different performance, so yeah.
Keep
even
the
just,
old
like,
Sonic
the most
design.
minute lip animation, right? Like, they have to change all of that shit. Yeah, like, the animation's really good, I think, in this. In all of them.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
always really, really high quality.
It's always pretty. I think it's strong, and yeah, like the music is strong. The audio-visual aspect of is still there. The action scenes are still good. I don't know. It's hard to beat like some of the scenes in the second one and the first one, like the villain escaping his prison in the first one.
Yeah, it never reaches the peaks in my mind.
No, I don't think so. It's still really good though. Yeah, I really liked it. Is there much else to say about the third one? I feel like I have the most to say about the second one. That's just how I feel. It's just like even the Charlie Kaufman aspect of it. That was like really weird to hear about.
yeah, really odd.
Yeah.
It's a movie that was boring in the second half. But actually, yeah, the first half I was like pleasantly surprised almost. I was like, this is fine. It definitely was aiming to be more of like a dumb comedy thing, but I thought it was fine for what it was. It's still, with both the second and third film for me, there's nothing in either of them that compares to the cinematography or sequences in the first film in terms of presenting action in a visual way. This one was a little disappointing in that sense also. But yeah, it was forgettable. I'm never going to watch it again. 5 out of 10 for me.
Yeah. I'm slightly above that. I give it a 3 star. It's kind of more what you'd expect from the title, like Kung Fu Panda, whereas I feel like the other two managed to avoid like how bad the premise seems, but it's okay. It's just
it could be bad
serviceable.
on paper, right? But I think they make it work.
Yeah,
it's really the animation and some of the voice acting, the kung fu, they really make it work. This one, you feel the wear and tear of the that it's the third movie. It gets a little stale. But like this is like, I'm glad they just ended it with this one. It's like a solid trilogy of movies. Yeah, like I don't regret watching them at all. Like again, I'm like, oh, those are pretty good. They have a good story. I'd probably go slightly higher than you, Alex, like 3.5. It's not like significantly worse than the other two either, I don't think. They're like solid trilogy of like animated movies. I really like them. I think they're really good. And like, DreamWorks gets shit on all the time for like some of their really bad movies, or like the pop culture references, the hiring celebrities for no reason. And like these are pretty good. Like this is an example of something like they should be proud of. They were good movies for the most part. Yeah, and like there's a lot of celebrities in them, and all of them, they're pretty good aside from Seth Rogen, who could go fuck himself. But like most of the celebrities in here, like, and they should have used Jackie Chan more, even in this one. But that's it. Like most of them are good. Like Angelina Jolie's good. Jack Black's actually really good. Like I didn't talk about him enough, but yeah, he's like perfect for this part. I think like he was great. He always seemed really into it. Yeah, and it wasn't like a distracting performance from him. I don't think he was always. He always seemed really into the Poe character, right? Yeah. So good movie. What, 3.5 out of 5? That's what I'd give it.
Yeah, good ass trilogy.
Yeah, good recommendation, I guess. Yeah, better than Madagascar. That's
we
for
did it.
Sure.
We've done another one.
Or are we just gonna move on?
How can we move on? So in movie news,
I don't know if Jack Black has seen them. Or I don't know if Jack Black's in them. Sorry, that's what I meant to say.
We can do a couple of the
I don't
movie
think
news
he's on.
things if we want.
Yeah, you have some
What have we
movies,
got?
that's good.
What's happened?
Paul Feig is very upset because the Ultimate Ghostbusters Ultimate Gift Set has all the Ghostbusters movies,
I heard about
including
this.
the new one, but not the 2016 film. And so he posted publicly on Twitter, at Sony Pictures, I know this must be a mistake. We do have a lot of fans, and Bill, Dan, and Ernie were in it, and it won the Kids' Choice Award for Best Feature Film the year it came out. So I guess this was just an oversight. Hashtag we are all Ghostbusters.
What was he thinking?
Sounds like a moon.
It's more embarrassing just making that tweet. You could just
sad
not
that
make
I
that
guess
tweet.
no one
YouTube
else
got
read
rid of the
it.
dislike
It's-
bar. I used to always go back on the dislike bar of like the original Ghostbusters trailer. on
Yeah,
YouTube,
you can't do that
And like
anymore.
a shit ton of dislikes. So many people hate that movie. I mean, it's terrible. It deserves the hate. It's a piece of garbage.
Yeah, it's a Paul Feig movie.
That one in particular is fucking garbage. Like so bad.
Yeah.
Did he think he was going to like start a movement? Like a Snyder,
Snyder Cut.
like yeah, we got to get representation for this movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He had
that one of the
he'd
stories
escaped
about
it. He had a
Joss Whedon?
chance.
he's like, this is a part of the canon. Like, I don't even give a shit, really. I just think it's funny that he's complaining about it on Twitter.
Whereas a company, surely they want to distance. Yeah. Have any of us
Joss
even
Whedon,
seen the new
yeah.
one? I kind of forgot there was a new Ghostbusters that came
No.
out.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. No one gives a shit. I was
Let's
going to ask
see,
about
let's see,
Joss
yeah,
Whedon
what
if you
it's
guys
rated.
heard about what he said. He was like
Oh,
responding to
I saw
the
I
Snyder
saw
Cut.
it trending. This Joss Whedon
Yeah,
stuff.
it's pretty stupid what he said too. It's not even worth
Oh,
talking
is
about.
it no good?
He's like, nah, he's like an idiot. He's just an asshole, right? He's just a lying asshole. He's basically
Yeah,
like Gal
so
Gadot
there's all
can't
that
speak
creepy
English.
stuff.
Like he's like,
Oh,
that's
really?
his excuse.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
It's like
It
some
was about
shit
his-
like that.
His direction.
why
on
it
the,
was
like,
bad.
Justice
Fucking
League
jerk.
stuff.
Yeah, he's like, I wasn't harassing anybody. You can't speak English. It's not a first language.
That's really funny. That's great.
Yeah, he's an ass. Whatever.
Yeah.
That's my movie news. That's all I heard about.
Yeah. Ghostbusters Afterlife has a 7.3 on IMDb and a 45 Metascore.
Yeah,
It's directed by
Okay.
Jason Reitman.
That is
that
weird,
one was
isn't it?
pretty bad.
Yeah.
and with the like Stranger Things kid in it, it doesn't.
Mm-hmm. No,
We'll
I have
see.
no interest in that. Paul Rudd, Ant-Man's in it.
Yeah.
Ant-Man. That's all I think of.
Yeah, I'm never gonna watch it. It's not really up my alley. So, another thing, Alex, you briefly mentioned this on your Jarcast, I think. We got a response from The Rock to
Yeah.
Vin Diesel.
Hey, you know about this, Ralph? Oh, that people have actually. God, this is so complicated at this point. People have like uploaded articles like dictating the whole timeline.
Oh, great!
Oh my god, this is
Awesome.
obnoxious. There's so much. This is the latest one.
Drama
This is the latest one.
Mondays on a Wednesday.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson accuses Vin Diesel of manipulation. Is it this one? Yeah, I think it's this one, right? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
It
Dwayne
makes
The Rock
sense.
Johnson is accusing Vin Diesel of manipulation for taking to social media to request he return to the Fast and Furious franchise. Johnson, who has said in the past he would not return to the action-packed series as Luke Hobbs, told CNN in a new interview that he was surprised by Diesel's November post because they already had discussed in private Johnson's permanent departure. So he was going on social media trying to get The Rock to, I guess, use his like public like clout, his like followers on Instagram to try and get The Rock to try and pressure him into doing another movie.
Yeah, can everybody just harass The Rock into signing this contract for a multi-million-dollar film?
Post toward him.
Satire.
It's really weird.
I do find it funny. Like, why does he not want to return? I thought this like Luke Hobbs, like the Hobbs Shaw movie that came out a few years. I thought that was like a huge success. Why is he jumping?
He's the
ship on
highest paid
I
actor
thought
in
he loved
Hollywood.
franchise.
He got I'm willing to bet he got a lot more for Red Notice than he would from a Fast and Furious movie.
But it's like, so is that all he is then? He just chases wherever he can get the biggest paycheck.
I don't know,
from?
probably.
I guess they're like all
What
the
is The
same.
Rock?
Like, what is the difference between a Fast and Furious movie and Red Notice?
Maybe he
like,
just doesn't want to work with Vin Diesel because he's manipulative. Like, I don't know.
But maybe that's part of the beef, is that like it's like Vin sees it as his franchise, and it's like
Then be in it.
The
Vin.
Rock butts heads with him.
What kind of a name is that? Vincent?
Yeah, I doubt it's his real
Vincent
name.
Diesel?
Yeah, that post of them is so weird.
Well,
And like
I mean...
Dwayne Johnson is like, he looks smaller than The Rock, like just the way the photo is.
Oh, yeah?
I think they like stretched Vin Diesel out, like, you know, post. It's just how it looks, you know. I could be wrong. It just looks like that. And yeah, that's on Vin Diesel's official Twitter.
Damn, but as far as like the manipulation goes, there's more. Vin's recent public post was an extreme example of his manipulation. I didn't like that he brought up his children in the post, as well as Paul Walker's death.
Mm-hmm.
Johnson explained. Leave them out of it. God. Yeah, he's just trying to manipulate The Rock. It's so weird.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
as much as we
it's a
can
long
clown
post.
on The Rock, I mean, it is
it's
pretty
hilarious.
fucking manipulative. Right?
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
So just
It's
to, like,
nothing
Especially if
but-
they'd had
so
a conversation
bizarre.
privately, you know?
It's so fucking
Yeah,
bizarre,
you did this
yeah.
publicly, Vincent Diesel. Like, it's nothing but manipulative. How can it be interpreted in any other way?
Hobbs can't be played by no other.
Double negative.
Yeah, I'm sure
So
The Rock is
stupid.
losing sleep
So
over it.
fucking stupid.
Yeah, well, that was it. That's just wanted to give a little follow up on the epic drama between Vin Diesel and The Rock.
Yeah.
As it unfolds, yeah.
Yeah, we'll keep you updated with all the latest news on Vin Diesel and The Rock drama.
Yeah, their drama.
Yeah.
It's infamous.
So,
at this
it's so
point.
ridiculous. It's so absurd.
So,
every
yeah,
time.
it's funny as fuck.
Last little movie news thing before we move on to question. Just something kind of interesting. As of the end of last year, HBO Max has cracked the top 10 list of most downloaded US apps of 2021. So other things, it's not just streaming service. It's number 1's TikTok, number 2 is Instagram, number 3 is Snapchat, number 4 is Cash App, 5 is Zoom, 6 is Messenger, 7 is Facebook, 8 is WhatsApp, 9 is YouTube, and 10 is HBO Max. So that's pretty crazy. So their whole like double
Wow.
theater thing seems to have paid off.
Yeah, at least in that way, sure.
Yeah.
Seems like they're making less money from theaters, but yeah, they're a lot of people have the app. Yeah, I have it. I was watching
Mhm.
Peacemaker.
Yeah. I'm trying to get the app, but it won't let me in Canada, even though I have the subscription service on
Yep,
my
same.
Xbox.
Not yet.
No, not until
Not
like
yet.
2026 for us. Alex, you'll get it.
Oh,
And-
really?
Really?
Holy fuck.
Well, because they
Hopefully
have
it's soon.
the licensed content deal
Why
with like
26?
Crave, which is like a stupid subscription service with one of the telecom companies here, and apparently their contract's up in like 2026. So why would they get rid of that before then? Which is why I'm accessing
annoying.
HBO Max with a VPN router and sharing an account with
Sure.
somebody else who has a U.S. address, basically. I'm just trying to get the app on my phone, which that's having its own issues. I need to find an APK file that I can download that I can trust not to be.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, so we'll see about that. But anyway, yeah, this was from Deadline, is the source of this information, and it's Apptopia's list. I don't know if this is just mobile or not. Maybe I should have looked into this before, but anyway, crack the top 10 of something. So yeah, and also yeah, they're not doing the dual same day release streaming thing anymore. That was just 2021. So I want to reaffirm that Christopher Nolan was crying like a baby for no reason. It affected 0 of his films.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Like,
That was something.
I'm never working with Warner Brothers ever again. This is the worst streaming service. It affected 0 of his films. It didn't do anything. Oh, Chris.
Yeah, I'm happy with HBO being up there. It's one of the few like mega like content producers that has a pretty damn good track record overall, I think.
Yeah.
Just in terms of the content.
Content-wise, it's fucking awesome. Fix the UI, get a Netflix UI, invest in it. You'll have the best fucking streaming service if you just fix the UI and the subtitles. Because that's shit.
That's something Netflix just has that cornered, I feel like, at the moment. Like, most competitors just aren't as good.
Yep.
Yeah,
with any of that stuff.
Yeah, you'd think that would be... It's one of those things where you have to wonder,
Priority.
like, does the CEO of Warner Media have an HBO Max account?
Yeah.
Does he use the
Look at
service?
it?
Like, that's the
Give a
question.
shit.
Because if he does, he
I
should
don't
be
know.
like, wow, there's some shit that could be better about this, you know? Do the people in charge even use the service?
Yeah, I highly doubt it.
Have to assume no, I guess.
How crazy is it that like TikTok is above YouTube now?
It's pretty crazy.
Like it gets more traffic.
You know what part of the reason
if
is?
you told
probably?
like 2015 me, like I'd never believe it. But what's the reason?
I think that it's not just the fact that it's short form content. I think it's the fact that you can use music on it. I think that like the entire ecosystem of TikTok is being able to use other content that's already existing and still making money off of it, right? I'm pretty sure on TikTok they have a system set in place where it just shares the revenue, right? So like it's
makes
a
sense.
system that's built off of like, hey, everybody's dancing to this song. I'm going to dance to this song too, or I'm going to make a meme out of this song too. Whereas you try to do the same thing on YouTube, as much as they're trying to compete with their shorts market, you try to use a song and it's like, oops, no, you can't. Sorry.
Yeah, the more you like lean into it and embrace that side of it, like the memes, the shareability of it, like these companies, they're just missing out on so many hours, like with the old as fuck like tact with this. And like this TikTok shit is just proving it.
At this point in time, Twitch and YouTube, every single major streaming or content service should have a way where you can incorporate licensed content and just have it automatically share the revenue, right? And I don't mean 50-50 if you use 3 seconds of it in your video. I mean like 1%, you know? Like it should be proportionate to the amount that you use in your video. Like you shouldn't have to worry about 3 seconds of a song in your 3-hour video and them taking 100% of the revenue. I'm sorry, that's fucked up. That's like people don't want to use your service for reasons like that, you know? Like so fix your shit. You have the algorithm, you have the content library, you have the resources to make this happen. It's already set up. You just have to change how it functions. That's it. And then you have a functional service. But anyway, we should do question time.
All right, let's do some questions from the Sardonicast community. If you want to leave your own for us to answer in future episodes, head over to the subreddit where there's a suggestion thread where you can ask whatever you feel like. Just like Show Me Your Bob Z69 says, do you think bigger studios will stop supporting auteur directors this year? Especially, it feels like with films by Guillermo del Toro, Edgar Wright, and Wes Anderson, all were overshadowed by well-known IPs and underperformed at the box office.
Is Netflix not a big studio? I don't know. How are we going to define it? Because they're all going on Netflix.
Yeah.
Netflix is a big studio, and that's what they're doing.
And like success seems to be measured in a different way now. Like it was so like binary. Like, did it do well at the box office? Yes or no? There are like different avenues now. Like, I feel like plenty of people are still seeing French Dispatch, despite maybe it not, exploding like at the cinema, like going out there to see it. Because I mean, it's also like COVID times as well. Like all of these happen to coincide with like new spikes of COVID and stuff. So the whole box office, like just obsessing over that, and I feel like it's just like they don't even have that much control. And the other side of it, it's like so chaotic. There's like no way for them to plan for this stuff. So
yeah, exactly. They're like the tentpole films seem to be doing well. I think that's more important. Like the rest of these movies, they're kind of risks. Like if they don't do well, okay, the French Dispatch is not a lot of money. If Spider-Man didn't do well, that would be a fucking disaster. But that's what they put the most money into because they know that's like what's gonna make the most money. And like at the end of the day, it just kind of trickles out. Like as long as those big movies are doing well, like the Jurassic Worlds and whatever, then it doesn't seem like the industry really cares.
Yeah.
Like, I think like HBO Max, they lost a lot of money from the theaters, or HBO, whatever, Warner Brothers, right? They own it. Like they lost a lot of money from the theaters, but they made up for it with that app or whatever, like you just said. It's a different world. It doesn't really matter.
They definitely got a bunch of new subscribers. So
yeah, it doesn't really matter. Like the Matrix movie, like people are talking about it. It didn't do
that
super
didn't make
great
money
in the box office. No, not at all. But it's not like no one talked about it. It definitely had like somewhat of an impact. It's just, it's just it had its own audience. People like that movie.
As long as movies in theaters, like some theaters are still existing, and I'm gonna support my local theater by checking out Morbius on April 1st. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm probably gonna see that.
We're all seeing Morbius
again.
Well, that's what I was
It's
stepping out of a
1st.
theater 2 days ago, and I saw a poster saying January, and then I looked on my phone and it said April.
It's never coming out.
So I think it got delayed again. It's April 1st,
Yeah, it
which
got
I think is
delayed
a
to
very
April.
fitting date to release the film, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking stupid.
Wait, is it actually coming out in April 1st?
That's what it says on
Yes, it
IMDb.
is.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, it's so stupid. You
Yeah.
thought Venom was dumb.
As long as Morbius is doing okay, theaters will recover.
Yeah, well, there's plenty coming out, like
Yeah,
Doctor
April.
Strange, the Marvel
Yeah,
stuff,
April 1st. That is hilarious. I love that.
Lightyear. Yeah.
But the poster that's still listed there says January 28th. They
Oh
don't-
yeah, the official poster on IMDb.
It's so dumb.
Yeah. Jesus.
Yeah.
It looks terrible.
Auteur directors are still working with big studios, even if those big studios are Netflix, and even if those are going straight to streaming services. But we'll see where the market goes. It's not like they're unable to make films altogether. It really depends.
Yeah.
Okay. Bitchington 309 has one for us. What's your opinion on the concept of fan service? When do you think it is done well or done poorly? The fan service I'm talking about is the kind in American entertainment rather than Japanese entertainment. All right, is there like a huge difference?
I think
fan service is fan
Japanese
service,
entertainment fan service is like more along the lines of like a culture thing. So like not necessarily. I could be wrong, but when I think fan service in anime, when I've heard people use that terms, it's like, oh, like you got like the butt shot here or something like that. It's not necessarily like,
Yeah,
oh, we're fans of this character. It's like, oh, we're fans of like this trope almost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like fan favorite characters getting like out of the way moments that only exist just to tickle fans. Yeah. But yeah, it seems like at its core, like pretty similar, to be honest, to like the way we do fan service. Like Spider-Man's been on everyone's minds. You can call that heavy fan service all the way through, but it's also an example of one we all enjoyed. We all liked that version of fan service, whereas I'm always railing on just unsuitable out of nowhere fan service that like just doesn't make sense. Like Free Guy was a big one from 2021. Like when
He's getting a lightsaber.
yeah, hey, look, it's a Marvel, it's Star Wars. Like
It's so weird. I don't want to think about Free Guy ever. I didn't even watch it. I saw that clip on fucking Twitter. I was so mad.
Yeah. Space Jam: A New Legacy.
Space Jam.
Some
Free
people
Guy.
got angry for me saying that I wouldn't watch it.
Really, they thought you weren't giving it a chance.
Yeah, like, who does this guy think he is? Jordan Peterson's favorite
Spaceship
movie is
and-
Free Guy.
yeah.
Like, okay.
Space Jam: A New Legacy. Yeah, that was
Yeah, those are like the
Stupid.
worst
the
examples
Matrix
like, you can imagine.
references and the Rick and Morty like thrown in there.
Are we just? Is the question what do we think about fan service? Like it
What's
depends
your
on how
opinion
it's
on the
used.
concept of
sucks.
I think we
fan
kind of
service?
touched on this in
Yeah.
the fucking Spider-Man episode. Like the
Mostly
thing that
so.
separates the new Spider-Man
Yeah.
from the new Space Jam is that they were taking characters that we loved and wanted to see more out of, and they found new ways to use those characters, new and interesting ways to utilize those characters and have them interact with each other in ways that you would only ever see at a fan fiction previously. However, Space Jam 2, The Matrix to some extent, a lot of these other newer films, they don't utilize the characters that we love. They just merely reference the fact that they're there and they're, hey, remember this? Hey, remember that? You remember this scene from the first movie? I'm going to show you a shot from the first movie. Yeah, you remember that? That's cool. And you're supposed to clap and go, "Oh, yes, this is the movie I remember." It's like, duh, that's why you're there, because like the whole point of marketing a movie towards these people is that they remember the first movie already. So what's the point in doing that within the film? Like the whole point of seeing the new Matrix is that it says the Matrix on the title, right? Who is this for?
Mhm.
I don't know. It
You want to
pisses me
see
off.
the Neo and Trinity.
Yeah, I want to see
But
Neo,
slow
the game
motion. You
dev.
want to see slow motion. You want to see Morbius.
Morbius, Morpheus.
You know,
Orpheus.
I mean Morpheus.
Yeah.
Right now, Morbius and Morpheus are confused in my brain.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
you
It's
wanna see
Morpheus, isn't it, in the
Morpheus.
Matrix.
Yeah,
not
you
Drinking a
wanna see
Morpheus.
40 in a
Morpheus.
death basket.
Fuck yeah, I'm getting them.
And I want to see Morbius in theaters April 1st.
Yeah.
April 1st, mark your calendar, everybody.
Yeah, it'll come out. They'll be like, "Gotcha, it's not out."
Buzzing.
It's coming out. It's coming out never. It's
not-
never coming out. The movie's it was a joke.
We goofed ya.
We just made a trailer.
It's a fake movie.
That would be great.
Sorry.
Yeah,
That would be so much better.
I still don't believe it's real.
If that was
that would be.
if it was all just an elaborate Jared Leto style prank for him to get into the character of the Joker because he's a prankster. He's like, we're doing the
Yeah.
Snyder cut,
Like how he
but we're
sent
replacing
Margot Robbie
everybody
like
with
a dead
cringe
pig
Joker.
or whatever the fuck.
I'm the main character now.
Said his co-stars like dead animals or whatever the hell he did.
Farts in a jar
It's
or
just a
something.
prankster.
Used
Just a
condoms,
prankster.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
pranking.
dead babies in a jar.
I said farts. Dead babies.
Yeah, same thing.
True.
Well, seeing as Spider-Man's on the mind, Andy the Movie Maker 14 has this to say. I'm not sure how aware you three are of this, but after Spider-Man No Way Home release, there were a large amount of Spider-Man fans that said they wanted an Amazing Spider-Man 3 and a Spider-Man 4 to be made, posting Make Spider-Man 4 and Make Amazing Spider-Man 3 online. You keeping track? Would you guys be interested in seeing these movies get made? That being, if they're done right, or would you rather just let these movies be? Personally, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I just want them to be done right and feel like a necessary addition to Tobey and Andrew's movies. Especially considering that Sam Raimi really wanted Spider-Man 4 to be made, and it was supposed to be released in 2011, but got cancelled before shooting, which is what led to The Amazing Spider-Man to be made. Even Raimi himself said that he wanted Spider-Man 4 to be the best movie, and end the series on a high note. So with what Spider-Man No Way Home brought us, I think that it could be the key to making these two movies possible. How do you guys feel about these? Thanks, guys. You're my favorite podcast of all time.
Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna happen.
See, this is we're working under different rules now. The internet's involved now. If we can make Snyder
Yeah, I don't know.
cuts come
Could it
out,
happen? Yeah. I don't know.
this is
I don't know
Sony
if that's what they
too,
wanna
and they want to milk Spider-Man for everything they can. They're making
Yeah, they were
Morbius,
trying to
man.
make Spider-Man 4, and yeah, there was like a lot of trouble making that movie. It seemed like they couldn't really get it to come together. And yeah, I think it's a lot of it the studio, right? I think it was the studio mostly, but maybe now, like, I don't know if they even want to do it at this point. I feel like it would be good, maybe. I really don't give a shit about the Amazing Spider-Man movies. I do not think those need to be continued.
Yeah, those are bad.
Andrew Garfield's not bad. Yeah, like Andrew Garfield's
Exactly.
the best part of them, maybe.
Like
But yeah,
Andrew
those are
Garfield
just,
is not
Like,
the
do you
worst
want
part
Mark
about
Webb to
those
come back and
movies.
direct them, or like, yeah, like what do you want to do? Like, do you want Mark Webb to come back?
Bring
do you want
back
someone
Mark.
else to come direct it? Like,
Yeah.
what's the conceit? Like, are we gonna
Is
have
that
like
those two?
Rhino
I feel
come
like
back
a
from
sequel
Paul
to Amazing
Giamatti?
Spider-Man would be way
Like-
more likely. Like everyone's so
Mhm.
old now from that original cast, whereas everyone wants to
Yeah.
see more of the Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, I don't know. If you just
Yeah,
give Sam
him a
Raimi another Spider-Man movie, but let him do what he wants, that would be great. The problem is, even if we were to do that in this
Yeah,
day and
sure.
age, he would be making a Marvel Spider-Man movie. That's part of the problem. You can bring back Sam Raimi. I don't think you're going to get as much personality as we saw in the first 3 Spider-Man films. We're going to have to
Yeah,
see how the
it
new
won't be the
Doctor
same.
Strange
We'll
We'll
is.
find out.
We'll see, but
Mhm.
something tells me that it's going to
Yeah.
feel a lot more like a Marvel movie than a Sam Raimi movie,
It
unfortunately.
might feel more like Oz. Did you see his like Disney
I
Wizard of
didn't.
Oz movie?
No.
Like in the
James
it might be
Franco in
more
it or
like that,
something?
where it's
I
more
don't
like-
remember.
Yeah.
sure.
Hopefully
Yeah,
it
I'm
doesn't
not-
mean
Looks
that way.
I'm not expecting a Sam Raimi film really from the new Doctor Strange. Like, we'll see, but like, I don't know how much they're gonna give him.
Especially when you're seeing these like stories coming out about it, saying all like, "Oh, there's gonna be so many cameos from different elements of the Marvel universe." It's like, oh.
That's the exciting part. There's gonna be so many cameos.
Yeah,
the Human Torch will be just like whatever. It's just throwing everyone.
It's the cameo era.
Yeah, I can understand why seeing Andrew Garfield in this newest spoilers. This is the newest Spider-Man movie. I can understand why seeing him there would make it so that you want to see more of him again. But there's so much wrong with those other two films, the Amazing Spider-Man films, that have nothing to do with Andrew Garfield. Andrew Garfield is not the reason why those films didn't work. Just terrible direction, terrible character design, terrible script, just terrible editing, all the product placements. Like, that's a weird standout to the music. Way more product placements than any other Spider-Man series.
The product placement, like the Sony product placement, was really obnoxious.
Forever.
It was like more than 10, like more than a dozen counts of product placement. Yeah, like
it's comical.
Times Square scene.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. The Electro character fucking sucks. Yeah, like the Rhino. Like, it was so bad. And yeah, like, there's this whole action scene in the trailer you don't even see.
Yeah, exactly.
It's shit. It's like the very end of the movie.
If they wanted to continue using Tobey and Andrew Garfield in some form, fucking do it. Like, that's... I don't know. They worked really well in this latest one. Who knows? It's probably not going to be as good as this
I just don't
No
know
Way Home, but like
I
don't know.
They just came in for a cameo.
There's so much you can do with the universe, considering all the different timelines and versions of Peter or whatever. Like, fuck it, I don't care. Make a spin-off thing. If Toby's willing to do it and he gets money and it makes money, and fuck it, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
the story's
I feel like just that response, the dollar signs that are being seen because of this movie. I feel like these conversations are happening. Like they want to push this stuff more as far as it can go.
Amazing Spider-Man 3 would be a weird fucking thing. Like, for them to do that would be so weird.
Yeah, especially now.
But if Sony owns the rights and they can just do that, like, we got to remember it's Sony, right? So they might. They might do that.
They are scrambling, man. Like, have you seen the trailer for the new Uncharted movie and stuff?
It's bad.
Oh my god, that looks like
hilarious.
Shit.
It looks hilarious.
It looks so stupid.
Yeah.
Mark Wahlberg is Sully. What?
Looks awful.
What the fuck? Even the poster is bad.
Director of Venom, I think, the first one.
Oh no!
The first Venom. Wow, classic. Holy shit, looks really dumb.
All right, last question.
Okay, let's end on this one from Borowski20. This is a really basic question, but I'm curious. What movies and or TV shows are you anticipating for 2022? Whether you're hoping for it to be quality or at least ironically entertaining. So we can put Morbius aside.
Morbius.
New Darren Aronofsky A24, The Whale, starring Brendan Fraser.
Oh yeah,
that's the most
cool.
intriguing thing coming out next year, in my opinion.
It's The Northman as well. That'll be interesting to see where that goes.
New Robert.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, Robert Eggers' new movie, Northman. Death on the Nile, that looks like fucking shit. Ambulance by Michael Bay looks like shit.
There's supposed to be a new Avatar, man.
Uncharted.
Avatar 2 is supposed to come out
is that happening? We'll find out.
I'm so curious. I'm so interested.
At the end of this year? Yeah. After all this time, man. The Batman. Sure, that'll be interesting.
The Batman, he's like, apparently Robert Pattinson's just not even doing a sequel anyway because he doesn't like the director. It's just going to be a one-off.
Yeah, I was sort of seeing those articles trending. Like,
yeah.
So he's already, before it's even out, he's like done with it.
Yeah. Way to go, Patty Cakes.
It's a good start, good sign.
Doctor Strange, I'm looking forward to.
I brought up my watch list here. We got Martin Scorsese's got a new film called Killers of the Flower Moon coming out 2022, apparently.
Okay, cool.
A new Andrew Dominic film called Blonde, which is a Marilyn Monroe biopic with Anna de Armas. Adrian Brody's in it. Cool. Interesting.
Okay, cool.
We got a Pinocchio movie from Guillermo del Toro. So, like, what, the fifth Pinocchio movie in in like
I feel like that's been in
that's
development
fucking
hell for
weird.
like years.
yeah.
Who even cares?
We got a new Ari Aster movie, apparently listed on IMDb as comedy, drama, horror. It's called Disappointment Boulevard. Joaquin Phoenix is in it.
Yeah.
That sounds cool.
Okay, cool.
Disappointment.
Noah
That's good.
Baumbach's got a new movie coming out called White Noise. Joanna Hogg's got a new movie coming out.
Aquaman 2.
Damien Chazelle's Babylon.
Minions: Rise of Gru. What about Minions?
Rumored to be
That's
set
supposed to be
in
this
period Hollywood. Very out of your element, Damien Chazelle. Tobey Maguire's in that one, though. That's interesting. Okay, Tobey
really?
Maguire, Olivia
Okay.
Wilde, and Brad Pitt. Okay, Avatar 2. Ay.
Avatar 2.
The sequel to Spider-Verse.
Oh,
That'll
yeah,
be
yeah,
good.
that'd be cool.
It's supposed to come out. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part
We got
1.
Black Adam, which I'm going to watch for the title.
Yeah, with The Rock.
The
Cool.
Rock's in it.
Mhm.
I mean, we're all going to have to watch it, right? I guess.
Mhm.
The Rock in a fucking
Yeah.
Marvel movie? Or is it DC?
Yeah. So,
It's Marvel?
This one's DC, man.
DC.
DC.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jordan Peele's new movie called Nope with Daniel Kaluuya
nope.
and Stephen Yeun and Keke Palmer.
Nope.
Is it actually called Nope?
It's called Nope.
Yeah. It's called
Okay.
Nope.
Nope.
Halloween Ends.
Interesting.
Yorgos Lanthimos.
The last
Never
fucking
mind. It's a
one.
short. I'm not even going to mention that one. It's a short. It's called Bleak.
It's a Halloween movie and a Texas Chainsaw movie.
So
Yeah. Wakanda Forever is supposed to come out.
It's just, I feel like just every year.
Yeah.
there's a movie called The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent where Nicolas Cage plays himself, but it doesn't look amazing to me. Some people are excited. I think it looks very average. There's a new furry movie called The Bad Guys.
Oh, yeah, that's a DreamWorks movie, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
New A24 movie
the
from the
the
guys.
Mario Brothers movie. That's supposed
Yeah?
to be out this year, but I don't know if they're gonna. It might be getting pushed back, but it's supposed to come out this year with Chrissy Pratt.
Yeah, there's a new A24 movie from the guys that made Swiss Army Man. There's a trailer out for that right now. It's called
Mhm.
Everything Everywhere All
Yeah,
at
that
Once.
looks
Yeah, that's
interesting.
Some people, yeah.
Yeah.
Michelle Yeoh is in it. Anyway, Jackass
Yeah,
Forever,
looks
super hyped.
intriguing.
I'll be watching that for sure.
Yeah.
Fuck
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, just and then some stuff that I guess I'm watching at Sundance pretty soon. Yeah, those are my interesting things of note.
Mm-hmm. That's like everything.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I mean
I'm
there'll
looking
be other
forward to it.
things, but this is just on my watch
Yeah,
list.
you need like some of yours. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like what I have.
The Whale,
Disappointments
easily
Boulevard, and, like, the Whale.
my most anticipated.
Yeah, the Whale.
It doesn't show up as having a release
date.
date yet on IMDb though, so I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it'll get pushed back.
Yeah,
I feel like
we'll
some
see.
of them will. Like Top Gun's been pushed back a lot. I hope that comes out this year. Just interested to see it.
the film is
Top Gun
expected to
Maverick.
premiere sometime in 2022. So let's just assume Oscar season. We're gonna give Brendan
Yeah.
an Oscar.
Let's assume
Yeah,
it is, yeah. Fuck yeah.
Hype Town! I'm so
The
excited to
Whale.
see Brendan Fraser play Nikocado Avocado. Also, I forgot to mention this. In Sardonicast episode 71, I totally said it would be cool to have all the Peter Parkers together in one movie and hang out together.
Yeah.
You looked it up.
Yeah,
Well, somebody posted it on the subreddit, so give me
Yeah,
the money,
so-
Sony,
cool.
and also make everything else I want you to make. I guess that's it for questions.
you did it.
We did it. My voice is dying. I don't know why.
Who's recommending?
I think it's Adam's turn.
It is my turn, but we have a
Yeah.
special guest, and I let them decide. So if you're
Ooh.
comfortable with that, I'll save my turn for after. Is that fine?
Yeah, it's fine.
Cool.
No. Yes.
yeah, no.
We have a special guest joining us next episode. That guest is Joel Haver. I almost said Haver, but then I remembered it was pronounced Haver. I don't know why. Joel Haver, YouTuber, filmmaker, makes some really cool animations and stuff. They're going to be joining for the next episode, and
Awesome.
their recommendation, it's Faces by John Cassavetes, 1968.
Yeah, okay.
So we'll be talking about that, and also we will be discussing the new Matrix film. So if that sounds interesting to you, then maybe go listen to the next episode when it's out. You can listen to the episode early as it's edited by going to patreon.com/sardonicast or sardonicast.com and signing up for premium $2 a month. You get these episodes as they're edited. Otherwise, they come out every 2 weeks. Yep, if you don't want to be spoiled for those movies, maybe watch them before the episode also. Mip. All right. Thank you for listening.
Mip.
It was like
Good
almost a
stuff.
burp.
Everybody.
It was not quite a burp. It was like
Oh, was
It
that
was
what
a
that
bit.
was?
Mip.
You couldn't tell
It was
what
a-
that was.
It's a little
Something needed to come out. It came out in that way. So.
It's funny.
Um,
Thanks for listening.
ka-chow.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Skadoosh.
Skadoosh. Bye.